Welcome to the Agoura Hills Planning Commission meeting of February 19th, 2026. At this time, please silence all cell phones and electronic devices. If you wish to speak or submit a written comment, please complete a comment card for each agenda item and submit it to the city clerk before the public comment portion of that item. I will now call the meeting to order. And I am going to defer to Commissioner Stein to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. And I will defer to the city clerk for our roll call vote.
Thank you. Good evening. Commissioner Platzer?
Aye, I'm present.
Commissioner Roth?
Present.
Commissioner Stein?
Present.
Vice Chair Sharon? Chair Reinhardt?
Present.
Chair Reinhardt, you have a quorum with Vice Chair Sharon absent.
Thank you. And the Vice Chair Sharon's absence is excused, just for the record. I'm sorry. Do I have a motion and a second to approve her request for an excused absence?
This is Commissioner Roth. I'll make a motion to excuse tonight's absence.
Commissioner Platzer seconds the motion to excuse Commissioner Sharon's absence.
Perfect. I will defer to the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Platzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Roth?
Aye.
Commissioner Stein?
Aye.
Chair Reinhardt?
Aye.
Chair Reinhardt, you have approval 4-0.
Thank you. All right, and now we will move on to the approval of the agenda. Will the makers of the motion please state your name and the second?
So moved by Commissioner Roth.
Seconded by Commissioner Stein.
Perfect. I will defer to the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Platzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Roth?
Aye.
Commissioner Stein?
Aye.
Chair Reinhardt?
Aye.
Chair Reinhardt, you have approval 4-0.
Thank you. At this time, we will move to public comments. This section is reserved for individuals wishing to speak on items not listed on the agenda that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Planning Commission. If you have materials to distribute to the Commission, please do not approach the dais. Instead, provide them to the city clerk for distribution on your behalf. Public testimony is limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and a speaker's time may not be transferred to another speaker. Individuals addressing the Commission shall refrain from disorderly conduct that disrupts or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of the meeting. I will now defer to the city clerk.
Thank you. We did not receive any written correspondence, nor do we have any speaker cards.
Perfect, thank you. All right, on tonight's agenda, we have public hearing item number 1. Our next item is to conduct a public hearing to consider the adoption of a resolution for a time extension request for the Ladyface Vista project. I will now open the public hearing and defer to Assistant Planning Director Robbie Nesevich.
Good evening, Honorable Chair, members of the Planning Commission. Tonight I'll be giving you an overview of the time extension request for the Ladyface Vista project. Next slide, please. So tonight it'll be pretty brief. I'll be going over the original project background, the extension request, and then staff's recommendation. So this project is located at 29541 through 29555 Canwood Street. This is the vacant site that's directly adjacent to the fire station located on Canwood Road. The application was originally filed on June 2nd, 2021 for 5 one-story office buildings for a total of a little over 20,000 square feet. Resolution numbers 12-1274, 1275, and 1276 approved the project and the environmental document on November 17th, 2022. Following the approval of the project, the applicant submitted building and grading permits. However, prior to the expiration date, they weren't able to file those permits, so they received an administrative extension until November 17th, 2025. And at this point in time, they are requesting an additional 1-year extension from the Planning Commission pursuant to their conditions of approval and the municipal code. Next section, next slide. Just to give you a little image of the project, you have the project plans in the files as well, but this is a rendering from Canwood Street. And then on the next slide, so the applicant isn't proposing any changes to the currently approved project. The Planning Commission may grant 2 one-year time extensions for the conditional use permit and tentative map. And if you were to grant the extensions, the applicant would be required to obtain building permits or apply for their second extension by November 17th, 2026. And with that, staff's recommendation is on the screen, and we are available for any questions.
Perfect. Thank you, Robbie. Do any commissioners have any questions of staff? And I will open it up.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Roth here. I have a few quick questions. If we approve tonight, it was for 2 one-year extensions, but then in the second year, they'll have to ask for it administratively. Is that correct?
They would have to come back to Planning Commission again before November 17th of this year.
Oh,
So,
got it.
so
Okay.
they get a one-year extension this year, and then they would have to come back, get another one-year extension from the Planning Commission.
Got it. But it's backdated to that November
Yes.
date? Okay. And there's no way that we can just give them a 2-year extension and just make that a clean process? Or is that part of the CUP that they had to do 1 year?
The actual municipal code and the conditions of approval require 2 one-year extensions.
Great. Okay. As a follow-up, I'm just curious to know about the property. I've been driving past it for, the past 5 years. I think there were story poles up at a certain point. There have been different signs. I think there's a for lease or a for sale sign up there right now. So I'm just kind of curious to understand what the next 1 year of the project looks like, given that we're going to be granting or potentially granting an extension tonight.
Yeah, so I'll defer mostly to the applicant on that question. I see that the applicant's in the room. But in terms of this extension, they would be able to come in and build exactly what we entitled them to build if we grant the extension. So if they move forward with this project, they would have to obtain a final building permit and a final map for this project prior to November 17th of 2026. If they wanted to deviate from that project, they could do that. The environmental document was also adopted, so they might have to figure out it. Depending on the amount of changes that are proposed, they would have to come back and reanalyze and come back for a new conditional use permit. So,
Great. Thank you very much. Concludes my questions.
Just to follow up, do you anticipate that, given the, previous approvals and everything, that if we extend, the approval, that it will be completed in this year's time?
in terms of the city's perspective, we just process the applications as we receive them. So in terms of the city's ability to process the permits, absolutely. I think it's just more of a question for the applicant on kind of what they plan to do and their future for the development of the site. So I would defer to that one on the applicant.
Great, thank you. Are there any other questions? Okay. All right, and does any commissioner have any ex parte communications to disclose?
Commissioner Stein drove by the property and spoke with staff.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've driven past the property like 15 times a week for the past 5 years, so.
That's it? I've also driven by the property.
I've driven by the property for years, so.
Okay. As long as we're all on the same page. Okay. I will now defer to the applicant. You and your representatives will have, I'm sorry, who is the applicant and that they are here? Okay, wonderful. So I will defer to you. You may come up. And you will have a total of 15 minutes for your presentation. There is no green light. When the yellow light appears, you will have 1 minute to wrap up your comments before the light turns red. You can adjust the microphone and begin. And then we'll go from there. Thank you.
My name's Martin Tottelbaum. Lived here locally since 1989. Raised my family here. I developed the project just across the street at Agoura Landmark Business Center, where my office is presently located. I do not have a formal presentation tonight and thought it would be best just to answer any questions that you might have of us.
Okay, wonderful. I appreciate that. I will defer to the commission for any questions you might have before I ask mine.
So the one question I have is, where is the status now? I mean, are you now actively leasing the property that you feel that you'll be comfortable enough to come forward and submit building plans by November 17th, 2026?
Well, the status of the property, as I understand it, is I have an approved set of building plans. They were approved, they've been approved for quite a while. There's been a code cycle change since then, so there's a question as to the validity of those plans. Robbie and I have had some conversation insofar as there's an approved final map ready to record. Does that toll the validity of the plans? We don't know. So if we were to move forward with this project, we might have to, we might not have to update our plans to the current code. I think it's primarily mechanical in nature, maybe some structural, I'm not quite sure. And we're presently, at the moment, we have a lot of feelers out into the medical community, particularly with the regionals, and they have expressed some interest. I'm advised they've approached the city as well, seeing what might be available in the area. So we're not right now representing that we're going to start immediately. Our project was originally presented right when COVID happened, and we actually had the first, a very unfortunate neighborhood, we would call it the neighborhood meeting, that was hacked into and interrupted in kind of a very disgraceful way. We lost some time there, and I don't know if it's because we were in post-COVID or whatever the dynamic was, but we went through building fairly efficiently, but our map and public works process was extremely protracted. So we got to the point that when we had our public works aspect approved and ready, our building plan check had expired. So there were a lot of moving parts and extraneous circumstances with the project. And also we had a financing commitment from a bank we do a lot of business with. That lapsed, so there's a lot of perfect storm that permeated this project.
Thank you very much for being with us tonight and appreciate your commitment to our city. As you heard my question to Robbie, curious to know, I believe, is there a for sale sign up for the property right now? So I'm just kind of curious what, obviously hearing your experience going through COVID and everything and the back and forth with the various lapses, I don't want to be obviously very, very mindful, but just want to make sure, we have the best understanding of what's going on with the property.
There is a for sale sign on the property. I have a long relationship with Lee and Associates. If I use the expression, if a bluebird flew in the window and offered us something that might catch our attention, the old expression, everything's for sale, but it's not actively being marketed for sale per se.
Awesome. And then in terms of the kind of regional health partnerships that you're looking at, if this moves forward and we start this process, you suspect in, basically post build out that there will be tenants in there. I know there's obviously there's subsequent medical buildings down Canwood, and I know occupancy rates are at varying levels along the street, so I'm just curious to know kind of what that looks like. Not that it has any kind of bearing, but I've been looking at the property for a long time, so I'm just curious to know what's going to go.
Well, I hope I'm responsive to your question. The medical property next door has probably been one of our best marketing devices that we've had. Many practitioners in that building have reached out to us, and having a brand-new facility, state-of-the-art, meeting all the structural, thermal, et cetera, codes would be attractive to them. I'm finishing a project right now in Moore Park that's very similar, and it's 7 small professional office buildings for sale or lease, and the market is quiet at the moment.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. I don't have any further questions. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
apologize,
thank you. I'm
Commissioner
a
Platzer.
doctor, so I know very well that building. My ex-husband was in the other building. But a medical office is different from a regular office. You have different regulations. So, and you pay more rent if you're a doctor in a medical office. So how are you going to accommodate medical offices and regular offices? Because there's different rules.
I understand your question. I developed 2 projects in Oxnard that are from a kind of a structural, legal, commercial plan development standpoint, identical. In terms of the medical, the primary driver is parking, the 5 per 1,000, which we have on this property, and in terms of, it really depends on the practitioner. I've done some dermatology offices, very straightforward, some dental offices. There's a med gas, a lot of costs that go in. I've done some a vascular surgery office. So they're all different, and it really comes down to the dollars to get the tenant improvements completed.
Are there any follow-up questions of the applicant from? Okay. All right. Thank you very much for
Thank you very much for your time.
your time. I will now defer to the city clerk for any public comments.
Thank you. We did not receive any written correspondence, nor do we have any speaker cards.
Okay, great. Thank you. So normally we would bring you back up for rebuttal if there were any public comment or, additional discussion. You do have 5 minutes if there's anything else you wanted to add, but it's not necessary. Okay, great. So before closing the public hearing, does any commissioner have any further questions of the applicant or of staff? Commissioner Platzer?
Yes, if the property is sold, then what happens?
The same thing. The entitlement itself runs with the land. So we approved the conditional use permit, and the conditional use permit, whoever owns the property, it doesn't change that permit. But if they wanted to change what was approved, then they would have to go back through the permit process, and they would likely come back to the Planning Commission for whatever changes they wanted to make.
I'm just curious as to a follow-up comment that the applicant made about the code changes, et cetera. So would be curious to know, obviously, we're backdating this annual approval, and if there's questions as to whether or not there's more that needs to be done in terms of the recent code changes, would be curious to know what those would look like time-wise, and if that's something, again, that we could just add into on the back end to make it more amenable to the applicant, given what he's gone through working with the city through COVID, et cetera.
Yeah, so there's unfortunately not a lot of flexibility with the 1-year time extension timelines, but in terms of the building code updates, we would still have to kind of determine which code cycle they're going to fall into, and then obviously further down the road, if they develop it, as the applicant was saying, it depends on what sort of tenant goes in there on which codes are applicable as well. So, but the actual building permits, if they construct it just as they applied for in the conditional use permit, they can still make modifications to the building permit application as long as a lot of the exterior of the structures don't change. It's mostly interior changes with the building permit. So.
Great, and thank you for that. But as a follow-up, you said there's little flexibility. Am I understanding that to be no flexibility, or is there actual flexibility?
That is correct. The For the conditional use permit itself, it allows two one-year extensions, and it
Okay.
doesn't allow anything
And we
beyond
can't go
that.
back to modify the original CUP.
I mean, they could. Let's say.
I'm saying us as a decision body tonight.
Yeah, no, as soon as it lapsed, they would essentially have to formally apply for a new conditional use
Okay.
permit.
Thank you very much.
You got to get out of my head. You're asking a lot of the same questions that popped up, but it must be the magic chair. It must be the magic chair. So, just to follow up with Commissioner Roth's questions, I had wanted to ask about the flexibility, but you did answer that. So, given some of the reporting of, if there were modifications or questions regarding the what regulations applied, it's largely to the interior, and the bones in the exterior of the building are essentially the same. No, we're just you're wiggling on the tenancy and what might be covered with like health and safety, et cetera, right?
More or less. The overall building footprint as a result of building code updates would change negligibly. So it could change by a square foot here and there, but in the overall scheme of the project, it wouldn't change.
But it would, generally speaking, as it stands now, it would not be enough to trigger a new hearing or a new set of approvals or anything like that. We're trying to make sure that we're expediting this process as, fairly as possible.
That's correct. As long as there's no substantial changes to the project, then we would be able to approve it.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, anyone else have any questions for staff before I close the Commissioner Stein?
I do have one. There are some oak trees on the property. So when the study was done several years ago, I'm just curious if anybody's gone out and would there have to be, maybe, is there going to be any encroachment just because the trees could have grown over the last 3 years? And that's the only concern that I have, is that how we're going to impact, because I know they're going to have to put fences around them, and I just didn't know how really detailed it was going to be. But that was the only other concern I had.
Yeah, so their oak tree report detailed all of the oak trees on the property. They did have some encroachments. There was an oak tree permit applied for as part of it. And typically what happens is once you move forward with construction, you do a pre-construction survey, because conditions may have changed within the last 3 or 4 years, as you're saying. And so they would basically just document how much that canopy's changed, how much the root structure's changed, and if there would still be relatively the same number of impacts. We still would have the same protection measures in place, which I think is the most important part, like construction fencing and root pruning would have to be hand tools only, and so all of those measures still are in place.
Thank you.
Commissioner Platzer?
On the oak trees, how many oak trees are there on the property?
Do you know off the top of your head, Marty?
Sorry, can you please come up to the microphone? Sorry, can we have you come up to the microphone to?
Can we have you come up to be on the record? Thank you.
My recollection is there's some smaller oaks on the east, which would be on the outer edge of our parking area. And if you drive by on the left up the hill, you see really the oak of primary concern, and it's nowhere near our building area. It's up above where we have the retaining soil nail walls. And I think that on this project, we kept at the point of conceiving the project, I didn't think it would be that wise to climb too far up the hill towards the adjacent residential. And so there's actually an acre of open space above the soil nail retaining walls. And that's where the primary oak trees are, above that
I can also
retaining wall system.
Yeah, I can also just confirm the project isn't removing any oak trees, and it's planting 15.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Are we, we're finished with questions? Okay, all right, perfect. So now that there are no further questions, I will close the public hearing. And we will move on to deliberations. And I will call on each commissioner, and I will start with Commissioner Stein.
Okay, based on the city planning's presentation, hearing from the applicant, that I could see there's no changes. All we're really is giving him 1-year extension. He'll have to come back if he doesn't meet that. And I can make all the findings, therefore I approve the resolution.
Thank you. Commissioner Platzer?
In the past, there was a vote already of 3 and 1 absent, so this was already approved several years back, as I understand. And I can make all the findings. I see no problems unless it's sold or the oak trees are being torn apart. I find those issues with the project, so I can go along with that.
Thank you. Commissioner Roth?
Yeah, thank you very much. I, similarly to my fellow colleagues here, can make all the findings. Just want to thank you for being with us tonight and, again, continuing forward with this project. Obviously, I, made a comment about seeing, the for sale sign and everything on Canwood, so, would love to see something there eventually. And so you've done a lot of, clearly done your homework. You're a resident, longtime resident, and believe in our city, so I appreciate that. But yeah, keep my comments brief and just say I can make all the findings and approve as well.
Thank you. And I will try to keep my comments brief as well, but I will date myself and say that I vaguely remember as a child, I think there were some sheep that would graze up there occasionally. Was that before everyone else's time? This project looks to be something that fits in with the character of the neighborhood, and I do like that you thought about the open space in the back and what the experience would be like for both the tenant and for the residents as well. So, delays and perfect storms aside, I hope that we're able to streamline the project for you, and I too can make all the findings. So, okay. Pardon me, I have to turn the page. Okay, so I will now call for a motion and a second to approve a staff recommendation.
Commissioner Roth moves to approve tonight's recommendation by staff.
Thank you. And I will now defer to the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Just for clarity,
Do I need to
we
read the resolution number?
Do we need to read the motion, because the staff motion has not been announced?
I think the motion was to approve staff recommendation. Now, is that correct?
Right, yes.
I think
So,
we're okay. Yeah.
Commissioner
Should
Roth
I-
moves to make a motion to approve staff's recommendation.
Sure, if you want to do a second.
And Commissioner Stein seconds.
should I read the resolution number or anything, or are we okay there? Okay.
Commissioner Platzer,
Aye.
Commissioner Roth,
Aye.
Commissioner Stein,
Aye.
Chair Reinhardt.
Aye.
Chair Reinhardt, you have approval 4-0.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm stepping on your line. Go ahead, Robbie.
The decision of the Planning Commission shall be final within 15 days from the date of the decision unless an appeal has been filed with the City Council.
Thank you. And moving on, we will go to public hearing item number 2. Our next item is to conduct a public hearing to consider the adoption of a resolution to approve a conditional use permit and site plan architectural review permit to allow for a second-story addition to an existing single-family dwelling. I will now open the public hearing and defer to Associate Planner Eric Wong.
Thank you, Chair Reinhardt. Good evening, Commissioners, Chair. The item before you tonight is a request for a new second-story addition to an existing single-story, single-family dwelling on a hillside lot at 5748 Kalotny Drive with entitlements PZ 2025-152 CUP and PZ 2025-207 SPR. So tonight we'll go over the existing conditions of the site, the proposed project, the site plan, sequence considerations, and staff's recommendation. Starting with the existing conditions, the property is located within the RL zoning district, along with the Old Agoura and Equestrian overlay districts, and is considered a hillside lot with a southwesterly average slope of 22%. On site, there's an existing one-story single-family residence at 2,894 square feet, but with the 460 square foot exemption from the existing garage, the floor area ratio comes out to 2,434 square feet out of the 3,600 square foot calculated max. The setbacks are as follows: 35 feet to the front, 12 feet minimum side yard setbacks, and a 131-foot rear yard setback. In total, with all existing improvements, the impermeable surface coverage is at 34.25%, just below the 35% maximum. Within its direct north, west, and south are RL district lots, also with the similar uses, with multiple single-family homes with single and two-story masses and sizes. And then beyond the flag lot to the north is the RV district. Directly east is unincorporated land owned by the Conservancy. Going back to the site and immediate surroundings, protected trees exist along the north and south and on site as well. So here's some site photographs provided by the applicant. As shown here is the front of the existing dwelling. Note the single story and also the new barnyard architectural style. Here's the side yard view from the south, and a view further near the rear yard, higher up in the existing slope. As you can see, there's a sort of a screen for the existing roof-mounted HVAC. While this isn't necessarily allowed currently under current zoning standards, because this single-family residence was built prior to city incorporation, it's considered a non-conforming use. And here is just a wider shot from the rear yard as well. So the project applicant proposes three things. One mainly being the new addition for the rear of the, on the second story, a new second story for the rear of the single-family dwelling at 1,072 square feet. Note no changes to the setbacks or impermeable surface coverage would result from the second story addition, but the new floor area ratio square footage would be 3,506 square feet, which includes the garage exemption. In addition, no encroachments into the existing on- and off-site protected trees would occur. This was confirmed by our city arborist during a site visit. And although work within the portion of the site is all going to be flat and graded land, a conditional use permit would still be warranted due to our hillside ordinance, specifically HMC section 9652.5A, because the project is over 700 square feet, whereas the threshold would be 30% of the original gross floor area or 700 square feet, whichever less. The second item is the repositioning of the existing non-conforming HVAC unit. Currently, it's a non-conforming because it's on the roof, but the applicant has proposed to move it and relocate it to the northern side yard ground-mounted, which would bring the non-conformance into conformity and would comply with our equipment standards set in HMC section 9606.1. And finally, there's a new 280 square foot attached trellis at the south rear part of the main dwelling. No encroachments into the existing side yard setbacks would occur. As shown on the project site plan and shown here on the slides for your convenience, again, no change in the setbacks or impermeable surface coverage, and the project would bring the non-conforming use into conformance by relocating the HVAC unit. And here the applicant provided renderings of that second story addition. As you can see, it's mostly towards the rear of the existing dwelling. And as part of the application review, the architectural review panel did suggest the applicant to implement a variety of glazing for the second story addition to break the potential monotony via asymmetry. As shown on the renderings, this was implemented by the applicant. Otherwise, the style, materials, and architectural finish conform with the city's architectural design standards and guidelines, including the Old Agoura standards. And as summarized here on the slides and further in your staff reports as presented, the project does comply with all RL, EQ, OA district standards. And moving on to CEQA, the project would be exempt via a Class 1 categorical exemption. This is because the project does not result in more than 50% of the original floor area and is under 2,500 square feet in total. The site is not located in a sensitive habitat, nor would it disturb previously undisturbed soils or slopes. Further, the project does not meet the exemption exception as outlined in State Secret Guidelines Section 15300.2, including subsection C, which concerns unusual circumstances. And with that, staff does respectfully recommends the Planning Commission adopt a resolution approving conditional use permit number PZ 2025-152 CUP and site plan architectural review permit number PZ 2025-207 SPR to allow construction of a new second-story addition to a single-story, single-family dwelling on a hillside lot and making a determination of exemption under the California Environmental Quality Act. That concludes staff's presentation and staff's open for questions.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it. I will ask fellow commissioners if there are any questions of staff, and I will start with Commissioner Platzer.
Robbie, what is the 460 square feet garage exempt mean?
So there's a set of exemptions in the architectural design standards and guidelines, and there's certain categorical exemptions that essentially incentivize you to have certain uses that that the commission or the city council thought were important at the time of developing those guidelines. That could be like a front porch that incentivizes the architectural style that we want, garages to keep cars off the street and things of that nature. So essentially that exemption just reduces your floor area slightly to incentivize you to have certain things on the property.
Another question. So that technically could be a JDU, right? You know,
The
garage.
Yeah, I mean, technically it could, but any ADUs would be considered separately, and it would be a ministerial decision on the ADUs. So ADUs don't come before the Planning Commission.
To clarify, though, there are, like, you know, there are standards and practices related to those as far as safety and right-of-way and all of those things. So it's not, I think what Commissioner Platzer was just trying to clarify was that the exemption wouldn't mean that the garage could just magically be turned into an ADU without any procedural thing happening. It just wouldn't come before this body, correct?
That's correct. They would have to apply for a permit with us to convert their garage to an ADU. And it's also worth noting that the garage is existing, so.
And just to clarify, this is, you know, the entirety of this project is within the original footprint of the dwelling. So there is no, as staff reported, there is no, you know, encroachment that is happening outside of the original footprint of the building, correct?
That's correct. I'll defer to Eric on that as well. I believe there may be a trellis, but I'll defer to Eric.
That's correct. There is that new proposed trellis near the at the south side yard, but it doesn't encroach into the existing side yard setbacks on that side.
Thank you very much, Eric, for the presentation. I just have a quick question. I know it went before the architectural review design board, but I'm curious to know what other input we've received from the neighborhood or the neighborhood association, if any at all. I'm not assuming there's.
We didn't receive any comments from any association or the public.
Commissioner Stein, did you have any questions for staff? Okay. Eric, just a quick question about that trellis. So a trellis, I guess, for your purposes or for city staff's purposes, it's considered part of the structure, even though it's mostly cosmetic and there isn't any, you know, obviously inhabitable function with something like that. But with the materials that are used, they have to conform to fire safety codes, et cetera, with that.
That's correct.
Okay, just to clarify. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner, Chair Reinhardt. You actually triggered a question that I had. I did note in my notes the LA County Fire consideration. So I don't distinctly remember seeing something, but just curious to know what the latest is with the LA County Fire part of this. Obviously, we've had some wildfires in the area, so just curious to know impacts there, or not impacts.
Just requesting clarification. Are you talking about Zone 0 specifically, or just in general for like?
Just in general for the project, like will LA County Fire review it? Have they already reviewed it? And then, I mean, obviously, if you want to discuss Zone 0, but the home hardening and other compliance within the city code, just curious to know what that would look like for the project.
So the applicant would be required to obtain a building permit, and during that review, they would need to get sign off from fire.
So essentially with that, we have limited information as to what the fire department's perspective is on the project.
At the moment, currently, yes.
Okay.
But they did not receive any comments from fire.
Okay.
And just to add on to that, there's kind of two sections of fire department review. There's the field modification review, which is usually if you're adding landscaping, and then there's land development review, which is for actual site access. Since they're not changing anything with the access around the actual structure, they usually don't even review single-family additions in that sense. So it would be if you add additional landscape, they would review the field modification, and then during the actual building permit, they might review a few things as well. But usually there's not a whole lot of issues unless it is that field modification.
I appreciate that clarification, especially given the fact that this is a project that's essentially all but, being built upon itself and pre-existing approvals, et cetera. Well, actually, it's kind of grandfathered in, but still, it exists, and so, but I appreciate that clarification. Thank you.
And I guess what I was trying to stumble over with, the architectural definition of the trellis is just because a trellis is added, that does not mean that plant matter is necessarily added, and that's an entirely different issue.
That's correct.
Correct, Eric? Okay, thank you. Perfect, okay. With that, I will then ask, does any commissioner have any ex parte communications to disclose at this time?
I drove by the property today and got out and looked at it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Stein drove by the property.
I did not. I did Google Maps for this one. Sorry.
Same. Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. And with that, I will now defer to the applicant or representatives that are here. And so if anyone would like to come forward regarding that is, okay. So just to clarify, you will have a total of 15 minutes for your presentation if you need it. There is no green light. When the yellow light appears, you will have 1 minute left to wrap up your comments before the light turns red, and you may begin.
Okay. My name is Chris Warner. I'm the architect on the project. I don't specifically have a presentation tonight, but I'm happy to answer any questions or talk through anything that you want to talk about.
Like trellis debate?
Yeah. Well, it might be worth noting, just in light of what was said earlier, we did submit for fire approval, and we received the first round of planning fire approval, as I understand it. I spoke to the representative at the fire department. He said there would be 2 subsequent rounds when we go in for building permit and then also during inspection. So I guess there's more to come, but the first round of planning fire approval was approved.
Okay, great, thank you. So with that, let's see, I'm sorry. Okay, so you do not have a presentation. Okay, before we move on to public comments, do any commissioners have questions of the applicant? And I will start with Commissioner Roth.
Yeah, thank you very much for being with us tonight. Yeah, I just a quick question about the engagement with the neighborhood. As is typical with Old Agoura, we often also get a letter, oftentimes in support, but sometimes in opposition from the homeowners group. So just curious to know how the neighbors feel about the project, if there's been any consideration from the group, and yeah, generally what the engagement around the property has been.
I can't specifically comment on that. I've been in touch with the homeowners, but I don't know anything specifically in regard to that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Any other commissioners have questions of the applicant? Commissioner Platzer?
Yes, thank you for coming. I see that the horse keeping area has increased, which is good, but where is the horse keeping area now? I didn't see it when I passed by the property.
I'm sorry, did you say the horse keeping area has increased?
Yeah, you increased it from 1,500 square feet to 2,758 square feet.
I'm a little confused by that. We shouldn't be touching the horse keeping area. The horse keeping area right now is on the back side of the lot, which is the far east side of the lot, the high side of the lot, but there's no work being done to that area.
Just a comment from staff really quickly. Commissioner Platzer, that 1,500 square feet is the minimum. They're not touching the horse area. It's still that same amount of square footage in the back. So on the staff report, it's the 1,500. It's just the minimum they need to have for the equestrian keeping areas.
So is there a barn there or a corral there or just a designated spot?
So there is a corral on site. There's a bunch of incidental structures for horse keeping, including a cover for any horses, but I don't believe there are any horses from the site visit when I was there.
No, no horses.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Stein? No questions, okay. I don't have any additional questions for you. So what, you may be seated for, you may be called back up for rebuttal, but we'll let you know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I will now defer to the city clerk for any public comments.
We did not receive any written public comments, nor do we have any speaker cards.
Perfect, thank you. So if you want, you have time, but it's not necessary to use it, so I just wanted to make you aware that you have a right of rebuttal for anything. Okay. All right, and before the closing of the public hearing, does any commissioner have any further questions of applicant or staff? Okay, seeing none, I will now close the public hearing. And we will move on to deliberations. I will start with Commissioner Roth this time.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you being here tonight. My one consideration, I obviously can make all the findings. Think that obviously the bringing in the HVAC unit into compliance and et cetera is the right move. Obviously, the family, they're not here, but I assume, looking at the photos, et cetera, want to expand their home, but are doing it in a sensible way by just stacking it on top in a reasonable fashion. So I can make all the findings. Obviously, the architecture meets the neighborhood because it's essentially emulating what's already pre-existing there. I would have loved to hear something from the community. Obviously, we hear a lot from Old Agoura, and so I think this is kind of like the rare occasion in our experience up here that we haven't heard anything, good or bad. So not that that will hold any bearing to how I am thinking in my approval process here, but I just would have loved to have known. But obviously, it's gone through the architectural review, design board, et cetera. So, and city staff, which have done a phenomenal job as usual. So, I can make all the findings. Best of luck in the project, the process. If all things move well tonight, and defer back to you.
Thank you, Commissioner Roth. Commissioner Platzer?
Thank you for your presentation. I live in Old Agoura. I went by the property, and it meets all the findings. It's a good addition. It would add value to the area and to the property. And I appreciate the horse keeping area, so if you could make it bigger, it would be better. But thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Stein?
Yeah, I'm always thankful when homeowners are looking to improve their properties, increase the value of all the homes in the area, improves the look of Agoura Hills and Old Agoura. I can make all the findings.
Thank you. And I will thank you again for showing up. And again, the thoughtfulness of the design is appreciated, and working with staff and the Architectural Review Board to make sure that, the project fits within the character of the neighborhood. And I guess if we're debating or deliberating, my quip or reply to not hearing from Old Agoura is sometimes no news is good news. But it's wonderful to have a community that's engaged at every level, and so it is always wonderful when we do hear support from neighbors, or when homeowners are looking for ways to enhance a property. So appreciate the thoroughness and some of the revisions that were included based on the Architectural Review Board's suggestions. So I too can make all the findings. So thank you. So with that, we will now call for a motion and a second.
Sorry, Madam Chair, just for clarity, would it be possible to reread the staff recommendation?
Certainly.
I can do
Okay.
it as well if you'd like, but.
We haven't heard much from you tonight, so
Okay,
that means I wasn't stepping on myself too much, but
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
So
Please.
just to reiterate, the staff recommendation is adopt a resolution approving conditional use permit, case number PZ 2025-152-CUP, and site plan architectural review permit, case number PZ 2025-207-SBR, to allow construction of a new second-story addition to a single-story, single-family dwelling on a hillside lot, and making a determination of exemption under the California Environmental Quality Act.
Thank you, Travis. This is Commissioner Roth, and I move to adopt staff's recommendation tonight.
Commissioner Stein seconds.
Perfect. I will defer to the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Platzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Roth?
Aye.
Commissioner Stein?
Aye.
Chair Reinhardt?
Aye.
Chair Reinhardt, you have approval 4-0.
Thank you. I will defer to Robbie for the reading.
The decision of the Planning Commission shall be final within 15 days from the date of the decision unless an appeal has been filed with the City Council.
Okay, thank you. Are there any additional comments from staff this evening? Are there any additional comments from the Planning Commission?
I just want to let you know that you did a good job.
Thank you.
It'll get easier. It was Jessica's first night chairing our planning commission, so well done.
Thank you, former Chair Roth. It's been hard to call you Commissioner Roth, but I will get used to it. So thank you. I appreciate everyone humoring me with my first procedural here, and I hope that everyone has a wonderful rest of their February. So now we will. Do I need to move for adjournment, or can I just adjourn us? I can just adjourn us. Okay. So the next regular Planning Commission meeting is scheduled for 6:00 p.m. on Thursday, March 5th, 2026, in the Council Chambers of the Civic Center, located at 30001 Ladyface Court in Agoura Hills, California. And this meeting is now adjourned.